Okay, and good evening, everybody, and welcome to TFC Open Mic Season 2, Episode 21. I am your host, TSM, and this one we've titled then Better Late Than Never. Why Better Late Than Never? Well, simply because I didn't realize I was hosting, and we hadn't made the link up until 30 minutes ago. So it is Better Late Than Never. Anyway, I'll say good evening, everybody. Who have we got on tonight so far? Thus far, we have O'Brien. Evening, buddy.
I am here to fill time.
Cool. Okay, and George.
Good evening, guys.
How you doing? Peter's with me as well.
Hello.
That's good. So there's plenty of slots available at the moment. I know people like to come in sort of like during the show and that sort of stuff when they think that we're probably taking the conversation down an avenue that they're contentious about, so they tend to join in. And here we go. Here's Mike straight away.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, Mike. How are you? You're good, bud. He's in. He's good. He's quiet at the moment. Okay, he's on mute. Not sure what's going on there.
Maybe
Anyway.
he's testing his microphone, making sure it works properly.
He's on now. He's there.
Yeah, he's good.
How's things, Mike? Okay.
Pretty good, yeah. How about you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. One day into the weekend, and we've got a bank holiday here in the UK on Monday as well. So.
Yeah, we do too.
Oh, right. Oh, cool. Yes, of course you do. Yes, of course you do. Yes, because there's some special deals going on about. In fact, we want to talk about those in a moment. Anyway, deals. We'll just write that down as well. So, you know, it's the open mic, I know, but if it does dry up in certain areas, then there's things we can start things off with. We'll talk about the Plunder TLC. There's obviously the FM update from this week as well. There's some deals out there, and then we'll talk about some issues like mega hole issues. There's definitely a few of those. Well, there has been, which is interesting. And then we'll maybe talk about power creep, maybe, I don't know, or the inability for some people to deal with power creep, you know, or new inventions. How about that? So we call them new inventions instead.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, there's things obviously in the FM have upset a few people this week. The fact that there's been quite a few things in the FM, so the only thing we've managed to get out of it this week is, well, we'll go into it straight away. In fact, let's start with the FM, I think, because obviously that's taking us back to obviously this week's update. So what came out? You know, we had the model missile, as we know. We had the amphibious missile system to go with it as well. Then up in obviously down in the lower tier, obviously we had the new transformer, which obviously adds a little bit of a sonar detection.
Yeah,
it's quite decent. And then we actually got at last some build tokens. So you only get 2 days this week if you're up to date and that sort of stuff. So you got a single 2-day build token. So what do you think about the model missile first? What's your thoughts on this missile system? We obviously know what sub it's going to go on, but
You're going to start with that, are you?
well, didn't if you're going to start hot, you know.
I think it's a bit of a muddle.
A bit of a shock to the system. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think first of all, I think the blueprint. Do you think? Would you say confusing?
A little bit, perhaps. Yes.
I mean, I did clock even a thing from Huggy, and on his own site, he was like that. Well, how do you think I should put this together? Because it starts off penetrative and converts into, you know, corrosive, and then it's got some penetrative damage, and then it's got a bit of splash with this, and then you know, it's not like your standard MIRV where, yeah, okay, I get it, you know, missiles MIRV and they cause more penetrative damage, or mortars, you know, Judgment's MIRV and then they cause different sort of damage, but they don't transform from one damage type to another. So I think it threw a few people.
Yeah, it's like it's an odd duck, that's for sure.
It's an odd duck. That's a good term. Yeah, I like that. So it made some interesting decisions, you know, particularly with special choices as well, because obviously there are some specials that you can put out there, and I think some people maybe didn't necessarily pick the right special to start with when they fitted out their ships. I certainly didn't, and I'll be out front and honest and that sort of stuff. So when I built mine with my model missiles, you know, I sort of threw myself in an area that maybe I shouldn't have done, you know, with my gluts and that sort of stuff. And I actually went for the I think it was is it innovated explosives it's called or something like that?
Yeah, the special for the sloth.
Yeah, I mean
that's innovated explosives. Goes with the torpid mortar. And
I thought, oh, that'd be good. I can stick that on because it's got, you know, lots of splash and the spread's good and that sort of stuff. And actually, it made no difference whatsoever. So I quickly changed that, I must admit. And I went with obviously what came with the monos in the end. And I went back to the
high yield warheads.
High yield warheads, and what a transformation! Absolutely transforms the ships, you know. And I know a lot of people, you know, were actually going for a Siege Battery 3 on them as well, but I stuck with resonance capacitor, and I'm quite happy that I did, because obviously the yields that brings with it as well. So For me, mine's pretty standard now. I obviously went with narrowed fired aperture on mine, the high U warheads. I went meniscus system myself, like I said, resonance capacitor, and then obviously the new special that came out was the amphibious missile system as well. So
Yeah.
that was it. I didn't put any armor on whatsoever at all. So if they do get trashed, then they're really cheap to fix. In coining terms, they're cheap to fix. Or
Yeah.
time-wise, they're quite decent to fix. So, hey, G Daddy, and Rum's in, I think. Yeah.
Yep. That's them.
Hi guys, how you doing? Both quiet at the moment.
I
But
think
no.
Rum may be having a little trouble with his microphone.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hey, TSM. Hey, guys and girls.
Hey, mate, how you doing?
Not too bad. Are yours? All right.
Good, mate. Good.
So
Can we just call this thing Kicks QA is mad at us?
Yeah, it
'Cause
could
I think
be.
they're
Could be.
mad at us.
Yeah,
What did we do, Kicks QA? What
Yeah.
did we do? We're sorry.
We did their jobs better than them.
Well, I don't.
Well, that's
know.
probably why they're mad. Yes.
But
I
mean,
like.
knocking that build together, and then obviously you go out and play with it, and you think, oh, that's good. I'll go and play some bases because it's a Conqueror and that sort of stuff. And you go, oh, hang on a minute, Conquerors can go and attack mega holes. Then what happens? Someone want to pick up on this one? Who's a mega hole player here? Anybody? Rum is. I know he is.
I didn't get my mega hull didn't get hit with any of them, but I mean I saw where they were one-shotting mega hulls, and that's been corrected, thank goodness. I mean my concern's more about the bases. I mean I know some people have started to counter them a little bit. The problem is the people that can counter them are coining, or we're lucky enough to have a certain hull built.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Like the what is it, the Harlock
Alpha Behemoth,
yeah, the Harlock Alpha
Yeah.
Behemoth. That I would not, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see a TLC of that come out because of this, because it's
Wait,
I mean you
the
need it
flagship?
now. Yeah,
The
the
particular
flagship.
flagship, the Harlock Alpha. Well,
Yeah.
Oh, I got one in storage. I guess I better see if I can find time in the queue.
Yeah, I mean I have the blueprint. I never built it, and now it's like, oh, got to find some time to build it while I'm refitting for everything else. I was like, so yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised if I saw a TLC come out for it, because I mean that's just it's the very first thing on the list of, hey, how do you counter these?
Mm.
You know?
I mean, it's interesting. And then talking about the model missile, I mean, I've literally just flicked up the blueprint for it. It is a confusing blueprint for people, where it talks about penetrative damage, and do you know what? Like, it doesn't actually mean a great deal. And then it goes on to obviously the corrosive damage, and then it's talking about its mirthing, and I think it's 2,700 or something like that for each of the mirvlets sort of stuff. You want to talk the little cluster things, it spits basically in a cluster bomb.
Submunitions.
Yeah, and then I think that's where the actual final damage that you actually got to calculate comes from, and I think it's per droplet sort of stuff.
Well, I saw Laredo said something in the forums where the shell still falls and does penetrative damage as well.
But yeah, and I get that, and that's where the specials probably got 40, for that 45% bonus. But without a doubt, just because the very nature, the lack of obviously corrosive resistance on a lot of things. Penetrative resistance is easy, and actually been putting penetrative resistance on a lot of our stuff in our bases because of obviously the Liberators. So we're not really caught out by that aspect, and I wouldn't say it's doing a great deal of anything to anybody. But the corrosive is definitely catching people out.
I believe it.
Yeah, one of the things I
splash.
think,
Yes.
and the splash. Yeah, one of the things I think is that kind of balance things for a while, because we have ballistic, penetrative, explosive, deflection or resistances, and radioactive to some extent, sure.
Mm.
But those weapons, ballistic is the exception. Most of those go over walls. And the thing about a lot of concussive and corrosive damage is you had to get through the walls first, and the walls are really tough. So that's kind of the balancing factor. One of the problems with these is they don't have that restriction.
Mm.
So they target something else behind the line and just fire away. And because they didn't think it necessary to provide corrosive resist or deflection in a lot of cases, you're going to get chunked out by something that there is no defense against. So that's rough. In Conqueror Defender holes now, you can't even put corrosive resist on them. It won't do anything. So I'm thinking they're going to put a corrosive plate in the FM as kind of a peace offering, but I still don't think it's okay. I still think it should have been, tested at all, because there were multiple errors in this one thing throughout the week.
Well, part of the way that you can mitigate it is that that special that you can put on buildings, the
Splash damage dampening thing. Yeah, I got two of them.
splash dampening thing.
So it's okay.
Oh,
Splash
wasn't
In
there,
one
dispersion.
shot, in one shot, those buildings are usually dead, though.
wasn't there a tactical installation or something that you could put on
Yeah,
your
splash
base?
dispersion.
no,
That is this thing.
No, I was thinking of something else. It provided, I think, corrosive resistance.
Walls only. Walls only.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the problem with those tactical installations. They only provide, although it talks about buildings, it actually only provides damage protection for the walls, which
The
is
chromium, yeah,
which
that's
is
the chromium
pointless.
overlay.
And
pointless in this
and they
environment.
gave one for explosive, which is so stupid. Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, well, unless you're doing rockets, but you know, I mean, but even they manage to fly over most of the walls. Yeah, they cream the walls in, but they still go over the top of them. They haven't got to, you know, it's yeah, I agree. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
for some reason, I thought that chromium overlay affected buildings and ships, not just walls.
Nope, just walls.
unfortunately,
walls.
yeah, it's really badly worded and that sort of stuff. But it's definitely been proven that all of those overlay type ones, wherever you stick them on a building, even it just seems to, unfortunately, just affect the wall that it's closest to within that range. Obviously, you know. So actually, it's not proving to be that. I don't know anybody that's fitted it, to be honest. Any of those type ones. And if they do, they certainly don't last them very long. Just going back quickly to the model missile. I mean, there's still, as ever, as there was on obviously with Hefe show last night. There's still confusion about the damage, the final damage total for the model missile. You know how it computes. Unless I'm drastically mistaken, as far as I'm concerned, it seems to be like a scatter where it's got 2,700, but it's not divided this time. Across the 5 fledglets. I think it's actually per one, which would make sense with the way that it's actually managed to kill turrets. From what I'm looking at, because some of them have got like 1.3 million, obviously, you know, base defense sort of totals, and the way you can do them in like 3 to 4 shots, then that seems about right to me. When you load them up with the number of, because if it was split, obviously 2,700 across, it wouldn't do on some ships it wouldn't even hit the minimum damage sort of figures. But also, you know, then when you splitting that across the number of fletchers that you've got for the MERV, it would do jack shit. So it's definitely, and it is doing plenty of damage, as we all know. So as is the splash. The splash is nuts, you know.
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
I mean, splash in the game at the moment is gone crazy on several different hulls. So this one's doing twofold, really, and I think that's what's probably caught most people out, because, you know, if you're still one of those people that sort of tries to stack your holes in your defense line reasonably close together, it's probably the worst thing you ever did, because you know, if you haven't got the corrosive defense on 1 or 2 of them, and you've got the one that has got it in the middle, they're going to target the middle one and take the lot out in 1 or 2 volleys. So things like, you know, the gamma, bit more from that sort of stuff, and even sometimes, you know, some of the other sort of like defender holes that normally stand up pretty strong. Like I say, the Holux Alpha is doing well, and actually Malice is doing quite well as well. That seems to be taking quite a few shots.
The problem with that, though, is if you have something like that in, especially, you have to be very careful about your placement, because if you have it anywhere near your island or anywhere near a cluster of your turrets, I mean, that's what I like.
History, isn't it?
Yeah, the video that I put up, I mean, that's the thing. The guy had a Malice in there, and I just hammered on it. And
took everything around for about 6 squares.
Yeah, and then I came out, surfaced, came back in, and I just ignored it after and went and killed the rest of
and bypassed it. Yeah,
the base. I mean, it's.
I mean, I'm trying to kill people with thermal, and then with an oppressor in behind, you know, and hopefully then with a bit of a, you know, a subsurface special, you know. I've got very different ideas. You know, I've even seen people put, you know, the alpha in really, really close and that sort of stuff. But so they've actually got a sail past, and actually what they've got a glut hidden with obviously the model missile further up, but obviously they can't see it. So when actually they get in contact with obviously the defender hull, then their own sub starts hitting the attacker subs. Yeah, you know, and starts making a right mess.
It's the thing is right now, currently, it seems like there's only like a one-dimensional defense against it. So I'm curious to know what's coming out.
The
I mean, when this stuff happens, something comes out. So
the explosive turret, that D99S is quite good though. Well, that's quite decent because it's got damage is 30,000, isn't it, for submerged damage? So you can get that cranked up to A, quite a distance, and B, quite a lot of damage. So if you can protect the damn turret long enough, you know, and they come within your, it's all about angles and splash damage and reductions and that sort of stuff. If you get the angles right, then that would do quite a bit of damage to a set as well.
Well, the catch is detecting them before they get to it to kill it.
Yeah.
And that's part of the issue, I think.
Placement, as it always is, it's always a puzzle, isn't it? But I think they have gone a bit OP on splash. Maybe I think the splash figures. I think mine's up at like 235%, and it's already, you know, the standard splash is 30. So you know it's a bit, you know, and the spread's quite wide. So it's, you know, it's definitely making a right goddamn mess anyway.
Is it the Merv missile that I thought split into 3 and then into 6?
I'm just going to bring up the blueprint actually and see what I can't quite remember what it says on it, to be honest.
It looks like it splits into 3 and then into 6 to me, or into 5 at least round ship.
It certainly makes a goddamn mess. I'm just going to load mine up a second. Sorry, I'll just.
I watched a video on it and it's just crazy. That one that 99s did with Mega Hull trashing.
Yeah, that's been fixed.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's been fixed now, mate. That can't happen anymore. So that was one of those unavoidable sidelines where a little bit of I mean, I have to say, and I mentioned this quickly last night, that this is the first time we've had such a it's not really game changing, but it is in game play that we've had that's come out that's caused so much adjustment to, you know, rapid adjustment in the game, and we've not had a preview on it. You know, I'm really surprised about that. I thought this would have been previewed, you know. To let people think, holy cow, what can I do about it? So just to hit people on a game update and it just being an FM prize and making so much difference.
Well, the question is, was it intended?
I don't know.
Like, you know, was that MERV damage supposed to be divided over the MERV, or was it, you know, I mean, there's just, we don't know. I mean, we don't know.
It'd be weak as hell though, wouldn't it, if it were just above, you know?
Yeah, that's the point. It would be, because I mean the building damage, as it says there, look, you know, because I mean you got standard damage, and that's why ships aren't lasting five seconds, are they? So that's the 2700, isn't it? But the building damage is only 675. But then when you start obviously putting the right specials on, you can start cranking them up pretty crazy to some crazy stats, like, you know. And obviously, you know,
go on, TSM. Carry on.
No, I was just thinking, but you know, you can put a lot of resistance figures on a heck of a lot of your, you know, a heck of a lot of your ships, you know. But it's quite difficult to do it on the buildings, so you don't need to have a massive amount of building damage because it's hard to stop the damn things anyway. Yes, you can get splash avoidance, but if it hits, it hits.
I'm just.
If you don't have the base set up right, I mean, you can ignore the guard too. I mean, we've done that for years.
Yeah, very much so.
Pinch the guard, run by it, kill everything else.
I don't think that they know what strength they've got in specials, to be honest, because you can crank up some of them ships to be badass.
I mean, I'm still not sure they know what strength they have in the missile in the first place.
Well, I did say that, didn't I? Well, it was on one of the other shows, like, but I did say they were going to bring a new missile out sooner or later for next set of raids.
I mean, look at this. I'm just looking at the stats. So you got a splash of 30. I mean, is Brian doing some mental maths as I'm talking, right? So you got a spread of 100, and then you got a splash of 30, and then I've got my splash up at 235% at the moment. So you know, if it does happen to fall around the outer area of that 100 range of spread, you know, you get one to the left and one to the right, and then you're going 235 times the 30. You know, what's the spread of that?
Wait. Your splash number in the shipyard is 235%?
Yeah.
Plus 235%.
Yep.
Wow.
Your splash is 100.
And so, yeah, so that's 100, and the spread is 100.
So that's a
Your
20.
splash is 100,
20,
and your
yeah.
shooting range is 100.
Yes.
Wow.
So my range is 100, my duplicate, my spread is 100, and my splash is 100.
Well, the spread's 20 off the center.
Or off, yeah, off
So
the,
you
yeah,
have-
but the spread of the
It'd be
actual,
100 and 120.
but that's the spread of the MERV, mate.
Yeah.
So, but
That's
the spread of the actual
ridiculous.
penetrative to start with is 100.
Right, but you divide that by 5
Yeah,
to get.
but it
the
has the
off
potential to
center.
go left and right of those effects, doesn't it? So,
Yeah.
yeah, so each
I
one that
think with
fires
a
off a
splash
ship,
of
so
100, you're pretty okay.
because you get what? You get 5 missiles per gluttony. Now, one can go off to the left and one can go off to the right, and then they MERV, and then their spread is it 30 or something like that, isn't it? So,
It's just like
It's crazy. I mean, the spread.
You are
even
not
the
safe.
splash.
You are not safe, is what this means.
Well, there isn't, and that's why people are taking out people's complete. As George has said, you know, your target analysis is right, quite sort of near, close to the channel and that sort of stuff, and actually you're knocking out the half out of the back end of the bloody center, you know, cluster.
Mm-hmm.
So all the concept of building these circular sort of like, you know, spiraling snail sort of bases, it's knocking the crap out of people. So it's definitely catching people out.
Yeah, and like I said, I think that the
You
biggest
want to
problem.
build a zigzag channel now, I think.
Well, I don't know.
Well, you know, in the past when we've had stuff that was game changing, like I you know, I'm thinking like the DNX and the original Dreadnought, you had several options to counter. It wasn't a one-dimensional counter to it, right? And now it's like you really kind of need the Hallock to anchor everything else. I mean, I guess if you design the base right, you could do a Tide and some Retributions, you know, because they'll survive. But I mean, the problem is you know, it's the introduction of this kind of limits your defense choices now, and I don't know if I like that too much. I mean, it's a fun hull. Don't get me wrong. I'm enjoying the hell out of it. I got 4 of them now, so it's fun. But
I managed to get quite a few tokens, so actually I've got 2 sets built. But you know, that's not the point. It's still, if you're not in a position like to build them and then play with them. And I've got one that's, you know, I've added the Cody, you know, flag to them, so it doubles the penetrative reload straight away. So they've not even got any rank on them whatsoever, and they're still walking paces by themselves, you know. And then the other set I've stuck them in with my my ghost crawler. So basically, if anybody just comes near me, even if they've got other subs, you know, the thermal gets them and that sort of stuff. Or if they've got gluts themselves in their own bases, adding to their base defense, you know, slide that up the channel as well, you know. And you don't worry about the funny thing about this is, because there's always generally buildings in the way and that sort of stuff, and the range is 100. You haven't really got to worry about thermal detection or, you know, sonar detection, that sort of stuff, because you're so goddamn far away.
And I think that's the issue more than anything else, more than the weapon, is the detection. Because if you could actually detect these, you have some more options then, because you can stick in, you know, remote targeting something, either mortar with the hydrodynamic shell or a missile hull or something, but you can't really detect them. Even with the new transformer, you know, what does that give you on a 75%?
The new transformer.
It's like 30. Yeah, it looks like 35. The problem is your channel is 2 tiles wide, which is 40, and that transformer has to be on a turret, which is more than likely on the land. So you're gonna lose, like, you know,
half,
5 to 10. Yeah, 5 to 10 there. So you can skirt the outside edge of the channel and get by it and not even be detected.
But also, if you put it on a turret in the wrong place, you're going to get smacked from the outside anyway. So it's got to be. I mean, if you've got anything on the outside, as I can't remember who just said it, but someone said in chat, you know, he was targeting something that was 5 tiles away, you know, just on the limit, and actually he was splashing things 10 tiles away.
Yeah.
You know, which is just nuts, isn't it? When you think about it, I mean, that's the center of nearly everyone's base. You know,
I think it became a big problem really when they introduced remote targeting, because it just brought crazy ranges out, and you just cannot defend against them ranges.
I mean, the only good thing is,
but that you need a tank. I mean, you need something to come into range. So that's
at least these
not,
don't retarget. That's something.
Yeah.
Thank God. And you can't.
I think the biggest problem is just the detection.
Yeah, if we had something comparable in thermal, then it would be sort of okay. But I think the biggest thermal on a ship is 90.
Yeah, and it would open up the options to defend. Whereas right now, like I said, it's kind of one dimensional in terms of what your options are, and mainly the basis of that is because you can't really detect it.
Well, I know a lot of people are putting ghost crawlers back in their bases, you know, but you just gotta be very careful where you put your ghost crawler, because obviously, you know, yes, you can have it in the front of your channel, but like you say, if you're splashing 10, you know, you've got to put the right armor plates back on that ghost crawler, you know, because otherwise your ghost crawler is going to die and then kiss your ass to 18 hours fix, or well, half it, you know, 9 hours fix at least, if that thing gets wiped out by splash.
Still haven't built one.
So it's a nice thing to have there, because yes, you're going to pick them up, and you know, if you get the right bits and bobs in the middle of the island, it hasn't been taken out. So it's hell. I mean, it certainly changed the whole dynamics of the base concept for you know, for the high level players. But there's no way someone that's not spending 1,000 coins a month is, you know, Okay, one or two might, because they've been lucky, they've just had to do the right sort of campaigns and bits and bobs, but in general terms, everybody else is screwed.
Yeah, unfortunately.
They're screwed, and it's I think you're right. Was this intentional, or is this just an oversight, or did they realize just how much impact, or did they actually look at, as you've said before, George, sometimes I think they think, all right, everyone's got everything, so we're going to do this. Right, so if you had everything, what would counter it? Oh, yeah, that, and that. So that's okay, that's the counter. The problem is only 1% has probably got everything. 5% have got probably nearly everything. And the rest of everybody else has got fuck all.
Well, even if you have everything, is it built? I mean, like the Ghost Crawler sounds like a great idea. I have the blueprint, never built it. Hellux, whatever the hell it is, I got the blueprint, never built it. And then the catch is how many days does it take to build that Hellux Alpha? Is it 12?
For the blueprint, yeah, it's quite. I'm not sure, mate. I have to go on quickly go onto Huggies and have a quick look. Rum, sorry, mate. Test your mic again, mate. See if you're there. No, it's silent, mate. Not in there.
Refresh, Kev.
That's the big part. The countermeasure ships are going to take a long time to build, so it's going to go on for a while.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is a month and a half for some people, and the problem is then if they're going to go into the next raid, which we know really you want those tokens to be building the new assault ship, and we'll talk about this properly in a minute. But you're going to want those tokens of building the new assault ship if you can get it. You're now going to be using it if you really give a shit about your base to try and defend your goddamn base.
Yeah, I'm pulling my guard. I mean,
that's pulling the guard. I think
loads have done it. Loads have pulled guard already. Tons have done it.
I've pulled mine.
Hell, I don't even keep a guard in my base unless I'm doing the Reaver campaign.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the idea. I've got a PvE base. That's what I class mine as.
But come on, if you've been playing 6 years plus, isn't that a really frustrating situation to be in?
Yeah,
where you have to pull your
much.
guard just to survive in the game without having to take too much damage and then fix something because you've got to go and fix it. You want to be fixing stuff to do your PvE stuff because it ain't for chores. You ain't advancing in the game. So, yeah.
Okay, try one more time.
Hey,
there you go,
Rum.
There we go.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Sorry about
mate.
the late. Welcome back, Mark.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, mate. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, because I've been away for a bit. Yeah, but yeah, that's cool. So yeah, just quickly then, the Harlock Alpha BIM off is R&D 30. It's 8 days and 11 hours. So
so not as bad as 12, but
yeah, it could be. It could always be a lot better.
It's still a week just for the blank hull, and then you have to fit it to counter this stuff. I mean, yeah, I don't have time for that. I don't.
Well, I'm still refit my IBs, mate, ready for the next format because obviously the new rocket came out and that sort of stuff. In last week's set. So and it's yet again as they do, the old creep. Let's make you refit because that's the way they get their dosh these days. We'll drop a missile in here and we'll drop a rocket in there and then we'll drop a cannon in here. That's happened for the last 3 raid cycles now since December.
But see now, do you know what the problem with that is? Is that if they want us to do that, like I'm refitting my monos. So my answer to all of this is I'm pulling my guard and to hell with my base because the next raid is going to come out. I need to build that new hull, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when am I going to build? When am I going to deal with PvP? I've essentially, I said this last month. The first 2 months of this cycle, I've spent building for the raid. I've been locked out of PvP, and now, granted, it was my own decision to spend the next month refitting the monos and maybe play with the icebreakers a little bit. So that way my FM is free for
that's
next
my point.
year.
Yeah, you're thinking about the FMs. You're thinking future tense, which you've got to, not the short life component of a sloth, for example, which I've got 3 blank. All fully ranked, and I've not put a damn thing on them yet, apart from it's got an engine and 1 mortar. From the previous,
another problem is they're conditioning the behavior to install the latest and greatest tech because they always tune everything to have the latest and greatest tech, even though I still don't think they realize just how much time it is and how late in the game they forced these 40 days of refits. And yeah, you can look at futures and stuff, and that's great. But the thing is, oh, I have to build for FM. Oh, I have to build for Conqueror. Like sometimes I think that Kix thinks that you can do all these futures at once, and you can't even with a small to moderate amount of coining. So I don't coin. And so for me, it's like, well, I was going to PvP, and now that is actually impossible. And even if you coin lightly, it's it's difficult then because you can't get everything all built and fitted out for VXP weekends and such. It's rough.
It is. Like, I finished the Plunder campaign. I haven't built a single one of them. I have tokens. That's great. And yeah, not building them because why? For what?
We literally
it's an
don't have
aspect-
time.
Yeah, it's an
Click
aspect
a
of the
button
game
and
I'm
click a
locked out of.
token.
Okay, so that's a good point. Look. Is anybody else going to want? Have we done that to death? In all honesty, is anybody
Done what?
Yeah, I think so.
okay?
The mud glut. The mud glut.
The mud glut is
The
yes.
Muttony.
So let's move on. Okay, let's talk about the Plunder TLC. Okay, the Plunder TLC mud glut. Yeah, Plunder C. They say okay. So it's the only. It's nice to only have one for a week, which is good. Apart from mega hole users, I'll just say quickly: if you've got a mega hole, remember to do level 1, because obviously that's the only blueprint. The only token you can get that you can do upgrades on. The rest of them are obviously initial modules. So at least always do level 1 on that thing, the first one, because then if you're using cannons, that is, because you can get an upgrade whatever level you're upgrading. The rest of them, they don't mean jack shit to you. But I know people are struggling to do that if they're especially on round 3. Second hit in, they are definitely struggling. So it is definitely a bit of a coiners fest by the sounds of it. A lot of unhappy people.
It wasn't that bad.
I mean, it wasn't right. It was right for me because I mean, mine's level 300. So but people that are down below and still trying to get through it for the first time, there, since they virtually give the gantry away and almost gave away the mega hole itself over the last month or so, that people are now starting it for the first time. So
It's that's been difficult. I mean, I don't even think I'm going to do Prize Pack 3.
I'm not bothering.
Yeah.
I don't. There's no point for me. So
I heard it's one of the things where you need the tech to get the tech.
Yeah.
And if they keep making these sorts of things harder for re-released tech that is, older than what it once was, see also the gluttony. Like, no one's going to get the new tech, and then they can't keep up with the new tech because they haven't got the next newest tech because they can't get it.
Well,
You can't get that without the new tech.
With this one, it's more. I'm more concerned I would rather have this stuff be easier to get, because the thing is with the mega hulls is you want people to participate, and they're not going to participate if they don't have the stuff to hit other players, right? Like the drone bridge.
and that should be
this is the second time the drone bridge isn't out. Well, you're not going to hive if you don't have the drone bridge, because you're not going to be able to help, your other alliance mates. I mean, I'm confused. Like, this one actually does have me a little confused, because I would be like, hey, here's the tech, guys. Go and beat the hell out of each other.
I mean, the simple answer is, mate, you've got to go and do. In all honesty, right? If you're new Hyperion owner, you've got to go and do Prize Pack 1, Prize Pack 2. So long as you've got some cannons on there already, and then just stop, and then spend the whole month then upgrading those as best you can, and then you come back in again, redo Prize Pack 1, Prize Pack 2, and then try to your best to do 3.
Yeah, you won't get through Prize Pack 2 with cannons and mortars. It's not happening.
Well, if I may jump in,
But it's not just cannons, is it?
I tried Prize Pack 2 and I failed. With my Hyperion is not such a low level Hyperion. I have all modules at level 1, one module at level 2. I have 3 Congreve rockets or 4 on it. I have 1 Titan mortar, the rest are cannons.
Mhm.
And I have a whole bunch of those regular weapons on the modules and countermeasures and everything.
Yeah.
I couldn't finish Pack 2. My mech hull died in the second encounter, and I'm like, yeah, screw that.
Yeah,
But I think the concretes have got to be level 2.
Go through all the hassle to upgrade everything the whole month. It's just a lot of work. Try and collect the parts,
You've got to have concrete rockets at level 2 at least, and at least 3 of them, I reckon. And they've got to be at 45-degree angles. I mean, 2 facing forward, and then the front 2 facing left and right.
But see,
you ain't getting there. You ain't getting it.
That kind of overdoes. I mean, the problem is this is an aspect of the game that is very, labor intensive, right?
Hugely,
to
yeah.
participate, and then you want these people to actually interact with the other mega hulls. So the only way they're going to do that, because then they're certainly not going to hit a level 300 mega hull with, a bunch of cannons and mortars. You got to give these people
3 friends with gluttonies.
Well, you could have done if you had gloves.
I mean,
Yeah.
You've got to give these people the tech. I mean, this tech has got to be way easier to get.
Yeah, but that
Way
goes the
easier
same
to get.
for everything in the game, George. I mean, it's not just the mega.
In some
like-
respects, yes. In some respects, yes. But this is a completely separate part of the game, and it's still newish, and they're still trying to get people to participate. I mean, this is something they need to get people actively participating in,
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I would say 50% of the players have only just been able to get into it in the last month because they've virtually given it away, haven't they?
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
the gantry. But in fact, they're probably not even into it yet because a lot of people have got their gantries.
They're still building. Yeah, they're still building it.
So if they're looking at a campaign that's out this week and they're seeing a lot of people going, well, I can't do this and I can't do that, they're going, oh, sod this.
Why bother?
I actually got my gantry built, and I went to look at how to build the Hyperion and ended up building it. So I didn't want to build it, but it's on its way now.
You can't stop it now, mate. You can't stop it once it's there.
No scrapping either, is there?
Well, the most annoying thing then, it takes up slot one in obviously your ships on the sea. You wait till you've got it, mate. And how many mistakes you make when you go and try and do something and you push the wrong button. You're like, oh, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
It's the most frustrating thing out in the game. It really is.
My mega hull will wreck these Reavers, run!
Yeah, it happens. Or you start your TLC, you go out on the sea, and as you're coming out, because your timer's going, you're going, right, click it, go, and it goes, you cannot attack that with a mega hull. And that's like, yeah. And you're just like, grips me.
That sucks.
It's annoying. You know, why not put it below the radar screen or something, you know, so it's in a separate place, you know. Put your normal ships up the top and then have the radar screen, you know, and then put the Hyperion down below or something. I don't know. Do something.
Yeah, but it's almost like kicks counts on everybody making mistakes, because if you make enough of them, you're going to wind up coining something and they bonus.
Possibly.
I don't feel like that has a positive linear correlation, but maybe it does. I figured they'd just quit.
Anyway, that's enough about Mega Hull for a minute. So, yeah. So anyway, going back to the Plunder TLC. So yeah, great. Obviously, the turret's there, which is obviously the Emancipator. The recoil special is nice as well. What do we think about the turret itself then? Has anybody actually put one in their base yet? You know, it's nice to have a railgun in there that's actually got some good range and some crazy power. I saw
that is not a dumbfire weapon. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a dumbfire weapon. Yeah, exactly.
I put some in my base, and of course, the first thing that happened was Gluttony splashed everything out. So they didn't get to fire.
I have 2 in my base.
You got 2, Ren, have you?
Yeah, I put 2 right away. I mean, as fast as I could collect parts.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I tested them in the front line, like with Jeff. Didn't go well because the reload's so slow. It takes forever to reload. So I put them right in front of the island with so it's now covered by some fire support. It reloads a little bit faster, does a little bit more damage. It's really cool. I mean, it doesn't hit all the time. You know, anything with some mid-level evade is gonna be able to escape some hits. But still, when it hits, it hurts.
Yeah, I've seen it do some. You know, I've seen a few people testing and that sort of stuff. Yeah, you're right. And when it hits,
but that's kind of where they're going. They're making everybody use mixed fleets on base hits, so you're going to hurt something, but you still got to be able to get to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that one's very good, like against Liberators. I mean, they have 0 ballistic defense. I mean, a lot of ships actually don't have ballistic defense, so we neutralize all of them because whenever one of those pellets hit, it's a big damage.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. It is another. I mean, it's like all the ships. You know, you have an arsenal of ships and that sort of stuff, and you know now you've got a reasonable toolbox to sort of pick for turret specials, turret tops and specials. So you know, it's.
Hasn't the Conqueror hull now got all the defenses that the weapons we fire at now, though?
Not every Conqueror hull, no. I mean, there's a new chart that Ren was putting out of what the turret could actually, what ships it could damage and what ships it couldn't damage and that sort of stuff. And there's plenty it can damage, plenty. You know, and you've got to put a lot of fire support around this turret to get through a couple of them, but it can actually cut through all of them at some stage.
Yeah, I do want to mention on the page we have a couple of videos showing how to do showing how to do the TLC. I know me and Ren have a couple, I think, on the website too.
Yes, they're right. Yes, because Andrew obviously had a computer issue, but he's up and running again this week, so he has done that already. So if you are still looking at a few how-tos and that sort of stuff, then that TLC is on there, and yeah, the 2 videos are there and that sort of stuff. So it's available, and I'm not sure if Ren's latest tutorial one about the turret itself is up. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I have two. I have one about like frontline turrets, and part one was about long range turrets. I'm gonna do a part three only about transformers and countermeasure turrets.
Okay, yeah. So let me just click on you, mate, and present you to everybody in a second. So there we go. So there you go. There's a long range turret setup for if those that haven't seen it and that sort of stuff. So
yeah, the Emancipator is right there. And you know, the Emancipator and the Cat Mortar are the two most powerful turrets that have a long range.
yeah,
And it's good because actually I could see a base defense where the central island is 100% a mix of cats and emancipators, because you'd have the super long range, or if you don't move, you're toast.
mm-hmm.
And then you have the mid range, the emancipator, where it doesn't matter whether or not you're moving. You know, if you don't have the right ship, eventually you're going to be toast because it hurts.
Yes, yeah, very much so. So just in case people don't actually quite get it, I'll just quickly switch over, just so people can, so they know where to find it.
Ren, what are you recommending for specials on that?
The BRS, the ballistic recoil suppressor on the emancipator. Then you have a funny choice to make. You can either go EM Rails 2 and ZU Frontline something, because ZU
Platform ZU.
Huh?
Frontline platform ZU.
That one. Thank you. So
Yeah, I've got most of them.
if you put that one and the BRS, it's too much power. You cannot fit EM Rails 3, but you can fit 2. But it's nice. The ZU gives you some reload and some platform resistance. It's a good mix.
Mm-hmm. So I was just going to show
That was
quickly.
one choice, and the other choice is you go BRS, you go EM Rail 3, and then you can put some armor special if you want. But there's not much power left for anything else.
Yeah, it's a tight one, isn't it? So I'll just quickly put up the screen there. So that's obviously our at the TFC website, obviously, forsakencancel.co.uk. So go to events. Obviously, this is the front screen. So just go to events, go to current TLCs. Look, and there we are. There they are. There's the Plunder one, and there's the Hyperion Rising. So each of the videos that we've got so far that show you something different compared to a previous one. We get quite a few videos come in, and it's great that people do bring them in. But obviously, some of them are very, very similar. So we just bring some out. There's Nines is one. There's obviously one from George and one from Ren there for a start as well. And all the different prize pack stuff's in there as well. And there's you know, there's quite a few different bits and bobs in there. So
Those are very helpful too, by the way. Very helpful.
well, it just makes you, you know, I mean, even I do, you know, because I've been quite busy this week and that sort of stuff, and I'm going like, yeah, everyone's talking about the TLC, but I didn't actually start it myself until this morning. So the first thing I did was jump in there and went, what did George say in the week? I've forgotten. So I just went there and looked at it and went, yep, got it now. That's fine, you know.
At least you know what's coming at you, because you got that one with the land tiles in there. And,
Yes. Yeah.
It's a little tricky. Because
Yeah, that was encounter number 3 that had the tiles, and then the tiles now are gone.
Yeah, when I did that first
5.
time, it did have the tiles in there, and it.
Yeah, 5 still has it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. So we'll talk about method. Should we talk about methodology now, getting through this? Because we've picked up a few good tips, actually, I must admit. Me personally, the way I've looked at it, because, you know, I like my macros and that sort of stuff. So I noticed that obviously it's Reaver to start with, and, you know, some of the obviously, you know, some of them have got obviously thermal and some of them haven't. So I bait a bit of a fleet of basically 3 Tide Seekers and 2 Hellwraiths in the same fleet. And so 1, 2, and 3 have got the Tide Seekers in, and then 4 and 5 have got 2 Hellwraiths. So I was just nipping around the outside with not moving the number 1, which is obviously because we know that the flag for the Tide Seeker takes so long to fix. But as George was doing, I saw in his video, I just had my end key, and I made that so that it just moved ship. Obviously, the 2 Tide Seekers, the normal ones. So they went around and took out all the thermal ships first, and then I pressed the page down key, and that's what moved my two Hellwraiths. So I went around and killed all the ships without any thermal using those Hellwraiths, and that was quite an ergonomic way of doing it. Whilst I was also using the one of the crews that prevents damage. I can't remember what it is. Forgotten on the top of my head now.
Steelheads?
Steelheads. That's it. Thanks very much. Yeah, the 1-star Steelhead crew as well. So I managed to get through that quite reasonable. I think it was about 55 minutes damage from 1, 2, and 3, and then obviously the number 5 one. And then because I've got my gluts built, you know, and this was Ren's suggestion. You know, I use my my Cody flag and the 4 glutes that I had built with obviously the muddle. And
Yeah, using Savage gives a big buff. I mean, when I recorded Price Pack 3, I just used the 4 gluttonies and wasn't really happy about it. But then I added the Savage, and oh boy, what a difference.
Phenomenal, isn't it? Yeah, by adding that, it made a huge difference. So, but then there's an upgrade to that again for those that haven't got those, which you recommend as well. If you manage to get through to number 7 straight away because you've got your tokens and then you've got your blank hole. If you're not building anything, build that hole straight away was what you were saying, wasn't it, Ren?
Oh yeah, I mean, just a suggestion. It helped me cut damage a lot. Once you do it once, you get the 6-day token. You build a survivor using 6 days to put whatever you can in it. Doesn't matter. And then, for instance, you add it to a Pride fleet or a Spite fleet or whatever. It's going to give all the other conquerors 1,500 extra corrosive deflection, which means when they go through those Venom Speeder turrets and through that Valiant, they will take a lot less damage.
Yeah,
so it helped me cut damage big time.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, on the base ones, I think originally I used Prides and Oppresses, and I think I got both of them done for like 19 minutes of damage. I show the damage to everything on the end of the video.
Yeah, I saw that.
But I was really lazy. I mean, I was really lazy. The last 2 I used the Gluttonies, and I didn't use a Kodiak because mine are semi-ranked. But my 4 are fast enough where they got all the way in and just wiped out the bases. It was insane.
I just use that sub speed up special, and that sort of stuff. The 1-star that does the extra critical damage, but also just speeds your subs up. So, and I've got that. I said that flag's got no rank on those ships at the moment. So, adding the the Cody at the front made a huge difference for me. Transformed it, in fact.
Yeah.
Mine has speed plates on it, so
all right,
I just walked in and just was like killing everything. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I timed out on the first time I had a go at it, sort of stuff, So chucking that in when Ren said about it, I went, yeah, that's a good. And there are obviously some other flags you can put in as well. So the Grim Shine.
You'll like it with rank because I think I did both of them on just 2 dives.
I mean, the only reason I built the second lot because obviously in my first fleet of 4 I've built with Mayhem torps on and that sort of stuff, and I thought, I'll just refit them to muddles, and actually it was 7.5 days, and then because I've got them armored as well, and I thought to myself, actually it's only 7.5 days to build a complete brand new ones. So I thought, well, what the hell, I got the tokens, so I'll just use the tokens. So that's what I did.
That's what I did too. But I had them already built blank, so.
Yeah, which is nice because is anybody struggling massively with this TLC? Do they like it? Do they dislike it? Is it funny driving your Hellriffs again?
The big problem I have is with the base encounter. Okay. But then again, that's mainly because I don't have any decent conquerors built. I just like poke it. It's like, heck with it. I'm gonna poke it the second run through, but first run through, I was just like, I'm just gonna take my time and see what I can do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there are a couple of good videos out there doing it slow, that sort of stuff, and then using some random different ships and that sort of stuff, and those are up on the website as well. So,
this actually is a point to what you said earlier, Mark, about having just one or 2 TLCs during the week. I really wouldn't mind having several of them if they were some of the older ones, because like the Pride, for example, we really need, it seems that we need that for every TLC that comes out, right?
Yeah, agreed.
So
and it's only bringing out once.
Yeah, so if you have a TLC of that and say the TLC of the Liberator out again, right? I mean, I have no problem having them rerun the ones that we've done already to let other people catch up.
Or slam it in your campaign list,
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is if you need one to get the next, you kind of have to I'm not saying give away the tech, but make it at least available, right?
Yeah, I think they should from the tier 5 make the the Spite and the Malice available often, because that's, to me, these are the gateway drugs to the Conqueror PvP aspect of the game. Because you see, very often if you have a couple Malices or a couple Prides, you can get things done. Right? Not free maybe, but for very few coining or close to free. I've been noticing that there's an upgrade and you do it easier. But at least the Malice and the Spites, the past 2-3 TLCs that were doable if you had either or, depending on the TLC.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to make it, and we're not asking for it to be free, but at least make it available. I mean, the T5
Well,
stuff.
I actually suggested they run some sort of TLC with 5 levels, relatively easy, where people could get the progression of Tier 5 Conquerors. You know what I mean? Like Price Pack 1 gives you the Revenge, the Gatling Gun, the Special, and some tokens. Price Pack 2 gives you the Retribution, the launcher, and some tokens. Price Pack 3, you get the idea. Until Price Pack 5 gives you the Malice, the Hammer Cannon, the Special, and some tokens. That kind of thing.
Yeah,
So people could actually get the game.
I asked for something similar where they would have one big TLC where you could get all the Tier 5 stuff, so you could get into it and then base some stuff up to the T6 stuff. I mean, I think it'd be fantastic because PvP is, that's where they used to make their money.
The PvP is fun. I mean, yeah, they make money, but PvP is also fun. I mean,
Yes.
It's a lot better than doing, Scourge for base cards in a row. It's a lot more fun than PvP.
Well, the PvP is where everything stands a good chance to grow. It's more fun to compare.
Easily available. People then could get in the game with tokens, get quickly in the game, and start getting those Tier 6 holes on their own merits. Sorry.
I'm thinking they should. Oh yeah, sorry. Ron was.
Yeah, go Ron first. Yeah.
No, go ahead, guys. I'm having troubles. We got storms coming in.
Oh,
right,
fine.
okay.
I'm thinking they should just put the Tier 5 Conqueror holes in the Foundry. But then again, that leads to the question of where do you get the weapon and special? Maybe if they could code it so that, once you're done building the hole, you get the weapon and special with it. But those take long to build, and then you got to bring down the build and repeat times. Like Tier 5 Conquerors are really old tech. And yeah, you can succeed in bases with them, but that is an exceptionally rare circumstance now, especially after you can use base parts for literally everything. Building up
I'm
OP9.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that want retribution tokens right now.
I'd like a
When I said that, Brian, I agree. Tier 5s are getting long on their tooth. It's getting old. So that's why I think they should do those TLCs right now. And more so people can actually get in PvP or start getting into doing those TLCs that require PvP holes than hitting decent bases. But honestly, there's a lot of less than decent bases out there where Tier 5 holes can still succeed easily.
Do you know interesting actually? That's nice you said that actually, and that brings me to a quick point I was going to mention. Right, so look at this one here where it turns around. It says right, if you're going to take part, it says recommended skirmish for this and stuff. Have you actually tried taking a Conqueror hole into where it says recommended skirmish? You can't do it. So don't say recommended. They just say you must say you must. I mean, I understand recommended, which means you could take some other, but they don't let you cross between PvE and PvE and PvP holes. You can't do it. It's just not possible. So recommended skirmish is great, but if you want to put an assault, you probably could do assault.
Yeah, but I think the idea that you could take a generalist in there.
Yeah, I suppose that's but I don't think you can in the Conqueror one, can you?
Oh, the bases are open. I took Citadels in with the Spike Flag.
But they can't do the reverse.
No.
Back to a point you guys were talking about a moment ago. If you're going to make it to where it's almost mandatory that you have prides to move on in tech, they should offer prides every week.
Here.
Yeah, I think it's a great hole, and like I said, it's still my main base hitting hole, when I do some base hitting, which is pretty rare these days. But when I do get the chance to do a bit of PvP, it's still my default, and it was my absolute default hole when obviously the BB crews was there because it was great fun playing with them. But
it's still my go-to base hitting fleet are my 4 prides, and then I either add 1 healing gluttony, or now I can add 1 survivor or 1 something else, 1 Zoe Vendetta, but it's 4 prides and a 5th ship. That's my default base hitting fleet.
Yeah.
This morning I went out to play, and I took 1 gluttony, 1 pride, and 3 of the survivors.
All right.
And you got to do something with the survivor. I've got just the VXP tokens. I used on 3 of them.
You got the splash on it set right up, have you?
Yeah, I wasn't too impressed with it. I put them on there with more hammer cannons than just about anything else. And it doesn't do much damage to anything. So I wound up going in with the gluttonies, taking out the first couple of guards, and then basically the pride ran through and took care of everything else.
But did it survive? That's because I was going to make one into a tank.
Yeah, it did. With let me see what I put on mine as far as armor. I think I put the two. Well, just let me look.
Got 2 plates or something on.
That ship, the Survivor, in my mind, is just an anti-liberator. I mean, that's how.
Yeah, I've got 2 rad plate 4s and 1 war plating 3.
All right.
And I put 6 hammer cannons and 2 Mausers. And those Mausers are supposed to have a pretty good amount of wall damage and building damage, but 2 of them didn't do hardly anything.
Yeah, and as Paul's saying there in chat, I think the pride that should be at least in the next, obviously the next tech store, as one of the holes.
Absolutely.
better be.
Pride's not there. It's going to be a huge.
Yeah.
What
Pride's
about
be like 2 million.
crossbows? Is infantry
What about them?
It's just
I
a
think
range
they-
reduction on crossbows. That's the only thing, isn't it? They don't quite get the range that everybody else gets. That's the only thing.
Yeah, on the other hand, they do have some of the highest wall damage in the game.
No, agreed.
So that's why I was mentioning them.
Well, railguns have got some of
I just use
the
one.
railguns have got the biggest altogether, haven't they? I mean, but
I just use Millennium. I mean, the walls are so hard to kill with ballistics because remember the level 9 walls, they gave it 75% ballistic resist and 175,000 armor. So it really is just hard.
And they also have splash resistance. So things like Siege Cannon or Earth Shaker or the Mauser are a lot less effective because they counter splash.
yeah, that's true.
And you won't even be able to splash out turrets because your splash is what, 7? I don't even think that is enough to get a hitbox from one center of a turret to the next. Because remember, there's no splash buff on these
No, not at all.
survivors. So stop putting monsters on the.
I put a mix of Millennium guns and hammers.
Hammers. Yeah, no Mausers. Waste of time.
Nothing with splash. Because the walls just dampen it, so it's useless.
You talking about putting the Millennium Gun on the Survivor?
Yeah, Millennium and
If you're
hammers.
gonna hit buildings with it, heck yeah, it's about the only thing you can.
But if I got a
but
chance,
again,
I'm
I'm
just
only using one Survivor to buff the prides. I mean, it sits in the corner mostly.
Yeah, then you can just chill. Do whatever. Can I say something about the TLC itself real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay, so doing this TLC like reminded me of every reason why I hate Hellwraiths. Like this stacking is garbage. They expect such a nice, like such precision out of you, except for level 7. If you can get there, it's basically just a DPS check. They expect such precision. They tune the damage down a bit, but even with heavily armored Hellwraiths like I have, I can still only take like 4 or 5 shots and then I'm dead. Like the damage is still really high. You can't launch them until they're fully repaired, so you have to sit them out on the map, and God forbid one of your ships dies, you can't repair it unless you spend a bunch of coin. Or so that hurts. Oh, what is it? Stacking issues. There's one thing. Oh, overload on one ship. That'll mess with your stacking even further and get it off. Like that's not conducive to how you're supposed to drive the ships. They built in the overload mechanic to specifically counter how they want you to drive the ships, and that doesn't make any sense. Like accelerate on the Apollo makes sense.
Actually, the overload on the Hellwraiths is a remnant of the original raid format with the timed rings, where actually if you got them faster, or even one of them faster, you could get in and out of the time ring better. So it was good for you, quote unquote, against those rings, but it totally messes you up on the format they ended up settling for.
I haven't actually tried this campaign yet. Is it the one? Has it got the explosive damage from the torpedoes?
Oh yeah. Don't make a mistake, for God's sake.
I will say,
use Tide Seekers as much as you can.
yeah, now that Brian said it too, when I was doing the when I was driving the Tide Seekers, and all I would do is click from one target to the next. That way the Howlock wouldn't move. But there were several instances where one Tide Seeker would go to the next target, and then the other one would lag and come, I don't know, a second or two later. I mean, I don't know what the deal is with the stacking lately, but wow, yeah, it's becoming an issue.
Yeah, I was having issues today.
There's also no retreat button and 10 minutes per target. Like, you could conceivably try to do all the runs with Hell Wraiths and time out. Like, it's not that far out of possibility, especially if you lose ships and you're on the last encounter, because the ships won't damage you, but they're really, really tough. So I would always have like 20 minutes going into the last one. I
got a funny story. For that. I was having a bad night last night, and I needed some resources real quick. So I was hitting Snowfall, and I had accidentally hit I had one of the new ones still left, one of the plungers still left, and I accidentally activated that one and went into it. Oh yeah, I lost the entire fleet. I was like, oh, son of a bitch. Yeah. Yeah, because I tried to hide in the corner and they came after me, and I was like, okay, well, that's a big oops. So yeah, I'm not a fan of the no retreat button.
Is anyone?
Well, and it was supposed to like tell you that you couldn't reset the mortar RNG, but the mortar RNG doesn't exist anymore. That reason's gone. Okay. Oh, on level 5 too. I don't know where I heard it from. It was probably Ren, but I complained earlier about there being like a scout that stacks with the big ship. Like
it sits underneath it. Catches you right out, doesn't it?
Hook left at the start because there's like 3 that are moving up kind of in the middle of the land tiles. Yep. Kill those first, and then it won't stack up. I don't know which one it is, but one of them.
Yeah, it's the last one. It's
not the last one. In front of you. Counter number 5.
5?
Yeah. In the 2 bases.
Yeah, it's the right when you come in. It's that one scout that's right in front of you. You kill that one first. That's the one that stacks.
I never knew which one. I know there are 3 together. I just make sure I kill all 3 as fast as I can, so they don't stack.
Same.
And then you got to be careful you don't get trapped on the upper right-hand side later on into that encounter where you've got those. I forgot what you call them. Those oil slick ships. I forgot what you call them. That are stacked.
Those are hell strikes.
Okay, they're right on top of a scout, and if you're in there killing the scout and you need to move, you can't.
You're stuck, yeah, because they're coming towards you, aren't they? Yeah.
Yep. So any move you make, you just got hit 2-3 times. So you gotta be careful if you don't get trapped in that corner.
It's a tricky old game sometimes, but that's quite good. So we'll just. One thing I want to quickly talk about, move on if you wouldn't mind, because we're just past the hour, but it's we're fine for time. It's not a problem. I was going to talk quickly about deals. So obviously we know for offers and that sort of stuff. So the shop basically, but obviously most people I think have probably had a couple of things flagged up. So I mean the offer that's just popped up on my screen. So well, in fact it just says next offers in 00, so it's just timed out. But yeah, so obviously we know it's it's a bank holiday in the States, and it's which bank holiday is it? Memorial Day or something like that for you guys?
Yeah, Memorial Day.
Memorial Day.
It's
okay,
like
so they've got
Remembrance Day in November, but Memorial Day, and it's in May.
Which is good, and it's a global, it's actually, it's recognised by everybody, which is good. It's similar to our Remembrance Sunday. But yeah, so there's been some offers as that traditionally is from Kickstarter on this bank holiday weekend, and yeah, there was one there for the Zealous, a nice flag sort of setup, and there's one there obviously for the flag for the the new. I think
it was for the mono.
Yeah, it was for the mono flag, wasn't it? Was it for the mono flag or the mono itself?
No, just for the mono.
Oh, is it? All right, okay.
Which I don't understand, because if you're gonna get this, you kind of want it for the gridiron one.
I thought it'd be for the gridiron, but maybe not everybody's getting it. I don't know. I can't imagine why you'd want to build loads of monos and then not have the gridiron to go with it. But
exactly.
Well, anyway, especially the way things are at the moment.
I found a good compromise on my monos. I mean, I didn't want to refit them all, but I found a good compromise. That's a small refit, and I can get a good mix of mortars in. I'm happy with that.
Oh, good. That's all right.
Well, it's pretty good for those guys that were complaining that they couldn't differentiate between the gridiron and the regular mono.
That's the one key. That's how you tell.
Exactly. I was going to say the same.
I knew a few people were complaining about that, so I was just asking.
You don't need a macro, just push the one key.
Yeah, I hear you there, mate. So what I was going to quickly just say quickly is cover a couple of points on this if you just bear with me a couple of seconds. So that's my screen there. Okay. Now let's talk about crews first. Someone's already complained that getting hold of the DOS crew and getting hold of the BB crew is like as rare as rocking. Now, whether they dial them up, dial them down, I've had that one offered to me. And I know somebody else got a BB, somebody else got a BB crew, and then somebody else got another DOS and that sort of stuff. Now they said the DOS broke the game and that sort of stuff. I've kept a couple and I've never used them since, but I've kept them. So there's one on offer for quite a reasonable amount of coin. Well, I don't know what reasonable is these days, but
I was going to say what's reasonable.
But if you tie that in with
Kickstarter.
the other deals that came in, that basically they were doing 95 coin for, I think it was like half price and that sort of stuff, then clearly you're only going to be paying, technically, you're getting that bit for free or you're getting them for half sort of stuff, Then it makes a reasonable sort of, makes it down to, semi-reasonable amount of coin, I think, if you halve that, because you're going to get half a
I
coin.
wouldn't buy a crew, but I won't say anything about people buying crews. I mean, each person plays their game.
No, I mean, there you go. I haven't bought it. Now, I was doing lots of refits, obviously, because I've been refitting my icebreakers and I was building those models and that sort of stuff. So I did go around and get all these bits here and that sort of stuff, But that brings up another issue, because here we go. Look, Kixie, your buggers yet again. Okay, and I've ticketed this because there's me being greedy, realizing that, oh, look, I'll click that one there. It was a really good deal. And then I went back to it, went, hang on a minute, 2-day ship build tokens times 3. You can only stack 2 in your base.
Oops.
Oh.
Yeah, oops.
Yeah,
Oops,
so
indeed.
and that's the second time they've done that. So I've sent a nice ticket in saying, can I have another day, please? Here's a screen grab, and it's not possible. You can't do that because you can't collect all 3 days worth. So
Someone typoed.
But that's the second time this has happened. That happened a while ago as well, and that was mentioned in the game to people as well, and to customer services, and they were supposed to sort that, and they haven't done so. They've made it on offer again. Unfortunately, I caught myself out because I did it first thing this morning, like I said. So
no, you believe that Kixeye had proper quality anything, which sorry.
Yeah, right.
I mean, there are some good stuff in there. I mean, look at that. I mean, you're raining for people that do still struggle. It went for 12 coin. Then again, I suppose if you're struggling, you're probably not.
I meant the company having
in general. Oh, I see what you mean.
Quality assurance thing. What I find interesting, I have a BB crew, and you have a DOS, and I think DOS does all things that BB does, and also more things, but they're the same price.
Yeah, because DOS, they reckon the DOS was the game breaker. That's why they. I'm not saying they stopped it, but that's why I think the availability was dialed down massively. And I've saved a few of those, but
there was like a 2-week rush of people posting pics left, right, and center about just getting all these DOS crews, and then it stopped again.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? But I just thought of that because I did see a couple of people on the page as well saying, "Oh, it's funny that I haven't been able to roll a BB crew for flipping ages. All of a sudden, I get one offered to me for 72 coin." Which is, I don't know. If you want to get your own back on somebody and you've got a set of prides and you happen to have a Phalanx 4 on it, and maybe the odd hail on it or something or other, you could go and get a bit of payback, I suppose, just to make yourself smile.
Yeah.
How about wasting of all the structure build tokens again?
Yeah. Oh man, I was going to say because I've got freaking structure builds. I mean, Retton's the same. I think I've saved up everything, so I don't know when OP10's coming out, but
Well, but I mean, it's a waste. They bring out this campaign, the Plunder, and if you
can't use them,
got them from last week, you lose them.
Lose it. I've got 3 12 days saved up. I've got 3 7 days saved up. 2 12 hours, 5 2 days, and I've got 2 1 days. So I can get a couple more, but I don't want to cut them all 3-day ones. Or
I think I added mine up, and I think I've got like 57 or 58 days worth of tokens.
Yeah.
On the structure builds.
I don't know. Yeah, it's annoying because you can need to stack so many, and once your turrets are up to date, and now obviously you can use base parts for virtually everything. You don't really need them so much. So,
like you said, OP10. I mean, that's going to be the next big thing.
Yeah. Let's not rush to OP10, though.
Please.
Yeah, let's not rush there. Come on.
If I were,
it's only been like 5 months.
It's going to come eventually. I just hope it doesn't come anywhere in the next 4 or 5 months. If it comes around Christmas again. Because I mean, with all the base part utilization, Anyone who plays the game on a regular basis should, if not by now, should very soon have all their turrets upgraded and the ability to install anything whenever they want, if you keep up with base parts.
Yeah.
Which is why I think they should release the Cannoneer and the tech store in June's raid. The Cannoneer, the mill gun, and the HVR. Because some people are realizing now, oh, you know, like, I wish I could do base parts easily.
Yeah.
And they had a stupid offer selling Cannoneers for like $100.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah. And ironclads of all things.
That's so off.
Like, heck no.
Flogging off
Didn't we go after that last week?
You know, I mean, why would you want to buy ironclads now?
Yeah. And I even said, I mean, if it were like 4 regular Cannoneers and the Hurlock, all fitted and everything with top tech, and you say it's $20, I could see a lot of people buying. Not a lot, I mean, I could see some people buying that, but $100 for
Yeah,
like
I mean,
3 Cannoneers, that's crazy.
That's a second-hand Xbox One.
Yeah.
I mean, all of them should be much more.
Can I pay with Monopoly money?
I thought you were paying with Bitcoin. Oh, sorry.
No, because let's face it.
No, I'm actually playing with Ultimate money. Shout out to the one guy who gets that.
Can I pay with Zimbabwean dollars?
Ren, sorry, go on, come on, mate.
I was just going to say the Cannoneer has only about 7 months left in its lifespan. 9 if you're being nice. You know. Because next siege raid comes in January, so we know there's going to be the next new best thing after the Cannoneers coming out in December. Right? So let's say it takes you 2 months to build that, and so you're still going to be using your Cannoneers all the way down to February at most. I mean, you know, so that's no more than 9 months of life left to get base parts and have a second-rated fleet for January's raid. I don't think that's worth $100. Not by far. And not without the flag.
Yeah, the other thing is these are all chore fleets now. Once it becomes a chore fleet, it really does not hold value like it would if it was in the middle of a raid.
Agreed, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
You want, I mean, these are things that people need to be, I mean, you've made the game to hang on the chores. You got to do the chores. You got to give this stuff to the people so they can actually participate.
Yeah. It's kind of like just the fact that I could win the Emancipator and using the tokens from the TLC plus base parts, I could instantly fit 2 Emancipators and then change the special on 1 Blunderbuss and 1 Deadeye Ballista, all like boom, boom, boom in like less than 2 days. Because I was lacking to collect base parts, but still less than 2 days is almost instantaneous, right?
Yeah.
I see value in that even on my PvP game because I get my base defense to keep up.
True.
And I don't need to spend money on that.
But the things aren't ranked too, so you got to kind of take that into consideration. But the point that I was making was, you know, from a business standpoint, I would want people, if I want people to participate, I have to give them the option to participate. You see what I'm saying? Whereas right now, if you don't have some of these fleets, you're not participating in that aspect of the game.
Exactly.
Absolutely, yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah. What the heck was that?
I don't know. That was random.
Somebody yawned, I think.
Okay.
I thought I heard somebody say, oops.
Probably the person who yawned.
You
Or
did.
whatever.
So,
Oh, dear.
I don't know if anybody wants to take a look at that, but I'm sharing my...
Yeah, no,
monolith.
it's up, mate. I've had you on share for quite some time.
Okay, that's my monolith compromise build. I mean, I wanted to put all Siege D mortars, but I won't have the shipyard time. I want to build other things. So that was my compromise build. The cool thing about I used to have the HYW, the new special
High yield.
Yeah.
So I had high yield warheads with the OU mortar. Then I did the math, and the Siege D mortar with HVR actually has a better splash, is better splash than the OU with HYW. So I flipped the special there, gained a lot of projectile speed, which means my tank will take damage for less time. you know, and that was like for me, adding the 4 mortars and the special allowed me to add 1 extra mortar. I had 1 empty slot on that ship before. I have 3 like that. I'm gonna have 3 like that by raid. You know, so the firepower on my ship went up big time, and that was like under 4 days per ship refits. Not super fast, but
that's okay, isn't it?
I had from raid.
Yeah, whatever works.
And whatnot. I mean, I thought that was good. I run 3 like that, and one of them has 4 countermeasures instead, so it's a lot lighter, and a countermeasure special.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I'm going all in and just refitting my entire fleet because you know, the FM's going to be this. I might as well invest it now rather than later.
I may refit the rest over time, George. I just didn't want to paralyze because my game has been paralyzed for well over a month, chasing my tail because Kickstarter keeps releasing components. Like we all debated that to death. We all know we're not happy with that, right?
Yep.
This is what 4th mortar they release in the month. You know, I just said enough's enough, and I wanted to move on and build other things that I wanted to enjoy my game. So that's it.
Yeah. So I've just flashed up there. That's the icebreaker refit that I've done, and this it's the same build actually on the flag as well, but obviously it's a little bit lighter as well. So you can actually get 5 of these across there, but a bit like Ren's ship there. I'm just trying to work out actually what the cost of this is just to get to this level in the game. It's just ridiculous when you stop and think about it. When you got 10 million, 10 million, 10 million, 10 million, you know, and then you've got obviously the stuff there from the FM and then a refit. This is a 6-day refit per ship and that sort of stuff from the previous one. And you know, you think to yourself, well, why did this go out in obviously in the FM so late when we've already had 2 rounds at this one and this is for the final? And
and the thing is, this rocket's so much better than the other one that it's kind of like, oh man, I gotta do that.
I had no choice. Yeah, you're right.
6 days per ship now refitting something that already worked.
Yeah, I mean, you know, fortunately, yeah, I could get the previous ones to do the 100 and that sort of stuff, and I thought to myself, yeah, well, but then this rocket come out, and then someone did the math. I can't remember who it was. I was away at the time, and then went, you know, and in fact, somebody did say to me, well, if you don't do it, you probably regret it. And then I did, you know, the comparison on Huggies, and I was like, my God, this thing's at least a third more powerful, and it's faster by about 7 or 8, which means I'm going to miss more of obviously the cold snap because I can outrun them and. You know, just and obviously the transfer from now the X now working for the, so it's just about that's 20 odd days I've wasted this month. You know.
Okay, so now that brings up a question. This artwork and everything they've got, how long does it take to actually get this coded and programmed into the game? When did they know they were going to do this, and did they intentionally release 1, 2, or 3 rockets in order to get everybody caught up in the refit game?
You skeptic, you come on.
No, I'm being serious.
Come on, let's go back to December and let's talk about when the Ironclad first came out, and let's talk about which cannon should we fit, and then let's go into the next format and go, which missile shall we have? You know, it happens.
Actually, you know, that brings up a point that I kind of am curious about. Like, how are they going to do the next setup? I hope they go back to the Hellwraith, the way they dealt with the tech in the Hellwraith raid, because that's the only one that's worked so far. And I don't know why.
2 options. You have something that you can bloody grind with that's a blitzer, and something that's a technical hull that if you take your time and you spend a shitload on the initial outlay, it's going to be able to do it for shit all money, nothing, because you spent all the money and all the time. But that's what happened, mate, isn't it? That's what happened. You spent all the time.
Right. Well, I was talking more about the tech, the way that they released the tech, because we got the Hellwraith out first. It was the top tier one. Then the next month we got the TLC for the Tide Seeker. I mean, I don't understand why they kept on playing and fiddling with how they released tech and in what order and all that other stuff. I mean, they had one that worked. It worked well. You know, I hope they go back to it because they should mess with it.
You qualified that by saying it worked well. Did it work well in our favor, or did it work well in their favor? I see this. They're playing and monetizing it. Yeah, the release of the tech. I see they're doing it for money reasons. I think that if they keep putting these out, here's a good special, here's a better special, here's the best special, they get all the coiners jumping to get each one each time.
Oh, without doubt. That's what I'm saying earlier on in the program, that it just seems now that most of the money is being captured in the refit phase.
here's my take
Well,
on that. I think the FM weapons coming afterwards, better weapons coming in FM, was by design to cause refits.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Now, on the other hand, I don't think that the original specs of the OU mortar and the charged armor, that was not intentional. I think they had a design, they thought it was going to work. It didn't work. It wasn't working well. Then they buffed the armor, they buffed the monos, they buffed the mortar. And then people who were not going with these new components now all of a sudden go like, oh my God, now that's a must-have. And that caused a whole unexpected wave of refits. I'm going to say that was not by design. I think that was just by oops, right? Now, releasing more powerful weapons in FM, absolutely by design.
Yeah, I mean, they're not... I feel like it works in concert with what we were talking about earlier with like the harder gluttony TLC, where they're gating people off of PvP. They realize that their PvP engagement seems to be dropping because people can't get into it. And so they're trying to shift their money making over to PvE to compensate for that.
Yeah.
I don't think they're doing a particularly good job. And I hope the numbers show that this is terrible, because I'd really like to have the best stuff first and have the most time to build the best stuff and know that it's the best stuff and going to stay that way. But I'm really concerned about next week's FM when we start to get our first new targets, because they've had to change so many fundamental things about this raid cycle, including what ship does the most damage and what's the best drive and this and that. So many different times, like they don't have this raid cycle properly planned out, and it's almost over. And if you're going to tell me that everything's going to be okay and that the FM's going to be fine, I'm going to tell you no. And I'm going to point to all these instances where they have screwed things up or fundamentally reworked things like the charged armors, or fundamentally give us more damage in the new FM weapons, which then gives them an excuse to not change the targets and leave targets that would be seen as OP earlier, just leave them the way they were because now they're not OP. The problem is we have to spend the whole month and more refitting for the newest stuff. It just doesn't make any sense, and they're doing it poorly or unethically or both.
Unethically, I lead for that. I really do, because I see it happening too often. Too many things come out broken. Just look at the gluttony and the muddles. It's just too broken. People go out, take advantage of it, screw everybody, get everybody up in arms, and then nothing good happens.
Forget about the unmitigating damage as well with the plasma.
Well, yeah.
I know that we haven't seen plasma in a long time, but I still don't think that completely went away. They could just code it into min damage, sure, but
yeah, probably that's what they did.
Okay, right. Let's pause there for a second then. Let's have a bit of a regain and rethink. And I'll just say hi to the guys in the chat first of all. Thanks for coming in tonight. Okay, we're not quite finished yet. We can go a bit longer, but we're not going to do a Hefe, and it's not going to go 2 hours. But we're doing okay. It's 1 hour 23. So for something that I didn't actually start till 25 minutes before it was actually supposed to kick off, we've done quite well. We've managed to keep 70 odd all the way through, so constant. So thanks very much. But guys in chat, if you've got anything specific you want to talk about, then please feel free to just type something up. And while I go across the panel there of the guests, not the regular TFC individuals then, but Rum, anything particularly you want to bring up, mate?
Nah, I'm just glad they did a little bit of work on the gluttonies with the muds. That was ridiculous to go out and see what happened. I mean, they were never meant to be a base hitter. It was meant to be a base prep. So I'm glad they did something there.
Yeah, I'm glad they woke up to that. And it certainly wasn't supposed to be a Mega Hulk annihilator in one volley, was it?
Oh, that would have killed. That would have killed Mega Hulk.
For 2 days, it was like the best base prep. You just killed their walls and ships.
Well, yeah, that was fun.
They fixed it? When?
Yeah, you actually deal damage to buildings now. Well, that problem is fixed. We're not sure it's entirely fixed.
Oh, okay.
So what do we know about? So there's a couple of questions coming in already. So first one, then next raid cycle. So Ren, what can you let us? And George, what can you tell us, guys?
I can say the next raid cycle is Assault.
Mm-hmm.
I can say that eventually there will be previews. That I don't think rhinos should be an investment anyone should be making now. Either you have old rhinos or don't build them. But Apollos will be Plan B, right? I mean, we still don't know if Apollos will perform as well as Citadels did as Plan B for this raid cycle, or as poorly as Centurions did for the Siege raid cycle.
Mm-hmm.
But they are Plan B, right? And then there will be a new missile ship offered in June, I believe, as usual, for like an extra salty, super high price for the privilege of getting it a month ahead of time.
Yeah,
and then there will be a second fleet being offered through a TLC a week or two before the raid with some tokens, so you can get 2 or 3. I mean, it's nothing new as far as I know. Let's just hope they get the ships right, they get the specials and the weapons right. They do know the community wasn't too happy about the staggered release of things, like they did in the Cannoneer, or like they did for the Empyreans, even having the Ragnarok come 2 months later.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're going to do a better job in releasing the whole combo, both in the TLC and in the raid a month before. Which doesn't mean they won't release something better 2 months later in FM, right? Because again, that I think it's by design.
Okie dokie. Peter, you got any points you want to pick up?
Nothing that I can think of offhand.
Okie dokie. Interesting question there. Loredia's in chat there. So, and this is something I want to really think about. So the question, whether he was being frank about it and making it a true question, or whether it's just something that he fancied saying, he said, so the question to the panel is, do you think Kixeye can recover and make the game become better? I think yes. No, I honestly think they can, Brian. But do they want to change it in the way that the players, or are they just... Because, look, it's the boardroom that makes the decisions in the end. It's not the developers. It's not CMs and that sort of stuff. It's the boardroom. It's the people that own the game, not the people that design the game.
I've seen it happen too many times that they don't put out enough value for the money, and it's not consistent enough. That's where the problem gets in.
We will never know the answer to that question, mate, because there's one piece that we never get to see, and maybe we shouldn't and that sort of stuff, but ultimately it's bang for buck, isn't it? So if the content they're putting out is still bringing the right revenue, they won't give a rat's ass.
Right.
However, from the player's perspective, I think you could fix things pretty bloody pronto. And that's by doing, as Ren has just hinted there, is, in the tech store, as we call it now, bring out the correct item and make it last the full duration and give people enough tokens to at least get the blanks out ready for the VXP weekend and make the VXP win doable. And then in the TLC that comes the week after, prior to the VXP weekend, bring out the TLC with the go-to, specialist sort of hull that's for the really accurate player and that sort of stuff, and then giving people 2 options. Give them then the time. Yeah, you may have to go going into this next one. Okay, so you might have to go into Assault to start off with if you're not a massive coiner, using the old, using your Apollos. But at least that gives you then 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and that sort of stuff, to get them ranked and to get them built. And then, we might not come out with S targets in the first one, but the second one, you could be ready. And then you're going to have some happy chappies. But at the moment,
let's talk about that S target for a minute.
Hold on, wait. I want to actually answer that question that Laredo put up there, because that's a multi-layered question, and I think
it is. Yeah,
the basic thing that I think that's missing lately that we had last year is communication. When they came out with when they came out and changed the 2-tier thing with Conqueror and not Conqueror, PvP and PvE, when they came out with the Revenge series of Conqueror hulls, when they came out and did all this stuff, they were very forthright. I mean, they were very forthright for Kixeye. Okay, we had a generic roadmap. We kind of knew what was coming. The playing field was somewhat level. We could actually plan ahead a little bit, and people were having fun. They were enjoying themselves. The chores were still chores, but they were not as extreme as they are now. They weren't tuning targets like that, the 57s or the Reaver Armadas, and not telling us. I think a lot of the problem and frustration that the players are having lately is that there is a very night and day change between summer last year and first quarter this year. And I think, can they recover in the game and be better? Yes. I mean, the thing is the direction of the game has to change a little bit. I think they have to address the concerns that their customers have with regard to communication, and they have to kind of plan, it's a lot of the stuff that we spoke about today. They have to kind of plan this to the point where you want players to be able to participate. Instead, it feels like they're locking them out of aspects of the game. Mm-hmm. And that, I think that's the biggest, those two things right there are the two biggest things they have to correct: the communication and the ability for players to actually participate in the game.
I'm going to have a slight disagreement with you there, George. I think if they quit releasing broken crap, even if you don't have communication, if you put something out there that works and you give it a description and it performs to the description, I think things will be good. Nobody saw what was going to happen completely with the gluttony.
No, because
communication
if something
great,
happens,
but
if something happens,
that works.
Right, but
George,
if you have something that happens and no one's saying anything, no one's, even addressing it, that's so much worse than having something come out.
If I go buy a Ford and drive that Ford, and then I park it, and I go buy a Chevy and I drive it, and they both work, I don't need communication from anybody. I'm smart enough to figure it out myself.
Okay,
but
if you have an ignition problem and there's a recall and no one tells you and your car catches on fire, what are you going to do? You're going to be pissed off. That's a horrible analogy.
Let's make things work first.
That's a horrible analogy.
Make things work.
Well, no, hang on, guys. Look, it's a 50-50 analogy, okay? And most cars don't need a recall, and the ones that do, the few, okay, and only about a third of people actually, unless Samsung and that sort of stuff, or Apple and that sort of stuff, they just go, tell you what we'll do, we'll just kill your phone off, so you've got no choice but to come and change it. It's the same sort of thing. So, but in general terms, most car companies produce cars, if you're going to use that analogy, and they don't need recalling.
Exactly.
They just don't need it, because you sit in the damn thing, you drive it, and all you want to know is how fast can it go, what's it like at cornering and that sort of stuff. But actually, the engine doesn't break down, the wheels don't fall off, and the windshield doesn't fall out.
And that's exactly what's happening with the game. Tell me a release in the last 3 months, we'll shorten it to 3 months, that has worked out of the gate without any nerf or out any buff.
The Imperials and the accessories to the Imperials. That was a perfect release, in my opinion.
That was fun.
You built it right, so that's great. Yes.
But there's many concepts there.
I can say, by the way, the Imperial combo. That was a well-released, good quality product that I built, I used, I enjoyed. I had no surprises, which it's unusual for a Kickstarter. So I'm very happy about it.
And you know what, Ren? I'm going to agree with you there, because when the Monolith, the Gridiron first came out, the first few days that they had it before they made any adjustment, it was fun to learn to drive, and it worked properly. Then they came out and said, oh, we're going to fix it, and it hasn't been worse shit since. Pardon my French.
No, I quite agree with you there.
That's why to G Daddy for his 5th grandchild.
Yeah.
Today, yay!
You only ever had input about that once in your life, but the last 5 times it's got nothing to do with you, apart from you are the granddaddy and you've got more things to sort out. But congrats.
And George, I don't mean to be in disagreement with you. I think a combination of both of what we're saying would be the right solution for Kicksai.
No, we're here to debate.
Yeah, there's no problem with the disagreement. I mean, that's the whole point of this.
Yeah,
exactly. I don't want to be at odds. I mean, you're a friend. I appreciate everything that we've done, and I don't mean to. I sometimes come across a lot more hostile than what I actually am.
No, I ain't got a problem with it. None at all. None at all. I mean, the thing is if you close yourself off to other options or other opinions, right, other perspectives, I mean, you don't understand the issue then.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So yeah, no, by all means, disagree with me, man.
Oh, well, I know there has to be communication, but you've heard me rant on this for God knows how long. Just, do your releases, do them however you need to do it, but start from this day forward everything that comes out should work properly, or don't release it. At that point, put out a TLC for the prides. Do something different. But everything that you release should work the way you describe it. Okay, and they can do that.
Okay, yeah, so here's another. Let's move on. Let's move on then, because that's good. It fuels some debate, and it's something we can talk about on the page. So there's another thing as well. So let me just. So because someone just mentioned something quite interesting there. Thing. So previews. Okay, if you're going to go and preview something and that sort of stuff, should that preview just be open for 200 people, or should they just be able to flip the game once a month and just go all the worlds, go and preview this, and for the next 6 hours. Because nothing's going on this weekend. There's no TLC. There's no nothing for this. But for the next 6 hours, all the words are going to flip, and we're going to give you this hole to go and play with.
Mark.
Honestly, I think they should pre-qualify the people that go into the servers to make sure they understand what's expected of being in the server and that it's an actual treat. I've had a chance to get into one server in 6 years that I've played, and that was because somebody slipped me a code that they weren't supposed to. But having a level 50 that may be a genius that doesn't understand everything about the game going in there and hitting bases or hitting megas or hitting something that they're not there to test is bad. I think they should be pre-qualified.
I have a big concern about testing anything in live game because Kixeye actually did that last year before the river cycle. Mm-hmm. They started releasing some targets as they do today still. I mean, if you look at VXP weekend, is nothing more like than sometimes they release early the elite target now. They release the preview of that on the VXP weekend, right? The problem when it's a preview and it's already like they're in the cycle and that's the new target for next month, but already in the cycle, the foundations of that cycle are already established. The problem is when they did it last year and they were still early in the design, testing ideas that they were not sure were going to stick around or not, exposing the broader community of players to that led to a lot of people assuming, oh, okay, that's it. I'm going to build to counter that.
Oh, I get that.
In the end, they did not use some of those ideas, and people were pissed. Oh my God, I wasted shipyard time. That was a preview.
But that was a one-off.
People cannot discern a preview for what it is. A preview to test ideas that not necessarily will make into a live game.
Yeah,
exactly.
So has live streaming hurt or helped?
Good question.
Well, that's a good question. Let's pass that. George, you've got a comment. You got a comment.
Go, George.
I have another subject I want to bring up that Laredo brought up in chat. So if you guys want to finish that,
Laredo's good
bring
today. I like Laredo.
Yeah.
So Laredo asked if PvP was made into some kind of tournament where you could only win if you hit up, would that help? And my initial response to that is no, because the problem is so many people have been locked out of PvP lately that I don't think that would sit well with the community.
I think it works. I mean, if it's a moving standing, I mean, think of a championship running for a few days, and it's like, oh, let's say you're standing right now. You did the first hit, you won, so you're in 100th place.
That's a pyramid table, yeah.
Now you hit up and you fail. Oh, that moves you down. So that means now next time you hit up, it's going to be easier targets because you move down. You know what I mean?
I think he means against other players and stuff.
Of course, it's against other players.
The problem that I have with that is if you're going to bring something up like this, another dimension to the game, it has to be in something that people aren't locked out of.
Well, that's already been there, hasn't it? Because when you think about it, we had in the game, do you remember you had to go and score so many points before you got graded, before you went into what used to be the old...
the Forsaken Arena tournament.
Yeah, the arena. So you get a pre-score to go in first, and that would tell you who we were going against, that sort of stuff. But a lot of people then played the game and went, well, I'll knock myself down. I'll go in and fail with some gunboats for ages, and then I'll bring in some monster fleet and absolutely annihilate everybody. And that's why people were getting crazy prizes, getting first, but actually the prize group they were in,
But what happened eventually in that arena?
We killed it.
Do you remember?
Yeah,
No,
split off.
do you
Split it
remember-
off by Elo. 1400.
We ended up
split it
getting a
off.
sandbox. We ended up getting a sandbox.
Yeah.
Oh, and that
For a
killed the
reason.
arena.
But then,
That's because people weren't participating.
But everyone would wait then in the sandbox one. They wait till virtually the end. So they hopefully got in a group with just like a few people in it. or some people that were like really not quite so good as other people, because the ones that were really destined to do really well or wanted the gazillion points and that sort of stuff jumped in early and started doing it. But if you and a lot of people did, they sort of like it finished on Sunday night, said right, it's about sort of like 10 in the morning.
Instead of listing all the reasons why it doesn't work, I mean, if they were to do that, how should it be so it's pleasant? Like, I think it should be just in the open map, and if you hit somebody that's not above you, you can still hit it, but you won't score any points. Or should you actually cut a penalty?
Now you're talking about. Are you talking about base level, or are you talking about medals?
You can't do either. The problem is the game's gone so far down, and there's so many holes out there already, that some holes that are really, really shit have massive hole levels, and some holes that are really, really good have low hole levels, as in like base fleet levels, that sort of stuff. So unless you're going to restructure every hole and give it just a 1 to 6 score, so the multiple of 36 means that's the top, that's a really good hole. But a really good hole in what context?
I think he's talking PvP as in base hitting.
Yeah, but it's not about base number, because base number don't do jack shit.
Right, but then how do you set it up? That's the thing.
Good question.
Medals, I mean, medals can be manipulated just like we manipulated the arena. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
it's a game open to abuse, is it not? The game is open to abuse by the players.
The problem, and the thing is I'm worried that if they do this, they're going to do the same thing that they did with the arena originally, which was here's some tech that you're gonna like say, I don't know, we're gonna give you PvP tech for a PvP. Whatever the hell we're doing, you're going to further lock out people that are already locked out. I mean, I don't know.
Do you know the thing I'd like to do? Remember the gunboat raid?
Yeah, that was badass.
Do you know what I'd like? I'd like to say, turn around and say, right, the gunboat raid to go in it, and it's locked. And yes, you've got the sandbox and that sort of stuff. Here's the gunbox raid. You have to enter within the first hour of X, Y, and Z, and it's done in time sectors. So the first 100 people, you get to go. That's it. You get 1 hour, and off you go. Okay, and then they change things, But then, if it charged you like $2 to go into it, but those 100 people, they got, let's just say, I don't know, a $10 prize at the end of it for the first person, a $5 prize for the second person, and the last, somebody else got just $1 back.
Well, so Laredo
that's mine done,
Maybe not exactly that. That might actually be illegal gambling laws.
Laredo just posted that the tourney would be based off of base level, so level 129 couldn't get points off of a 50. I have some serious problems with that.
Well, the problem is alliances get people crazy holes. I've still got level 47 in my alliance, and he's got some crazy stuff. And we're keeping him low on purpose.
I wouldn't want to come up against a level 50 with a full fleet of prizes sometimes, just depending on how my base is set up.
Yeah, no, that's a Laredo. If they're really talking about that, if this is really a thing, and you're just feeling stuff out, that's a horrendous idea. Pass that on.
So does it have to be based on fleet level?
I don't know, mate, because like I said,
you can manipulate that too.
Some fleets come out at level 129, but actually a comparable fleet only comes out at level 70. But it's because of what it's attacking and that sort of stuff. So they would have to rejig some of the fleet levels of the current stuff, let alone the future stuff, to make that work it out.
Yeah,
I don't think
the idea
levels on any sort of comparable scale. You can't compare those two.
I mean, I like the idea. I like the idea. I don't know if maybe they started off with a sandbox so you can just build whatever you want for a baser, but then how you're going to incorporate that into a base hit in game, and I don't know, man. That's complicated.
That's not state of the game. I've put my time in. I've earned my tech. I deserve to be able to use it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other questions, guys? Who have we got then? Daniel, have you got anything you want to say, mate?
Nothing at this time.
Okay, mate. G Daddy, apart from congratulations, is there anything that you want to cover?
My granddad!
Again.
Congratulations!
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it's good.
No, good info. Great show. Loved being on it again.
Right, man, we missed Hefe tonight because look, that's an hour and 45. I've just let it go tonight, so this would normally be in the after show, but I've just kept it rolling.
Yeah, but we picked up viewers. We're at 80 now. We were at 70.
Yeah, they're probably all thinking, "What the hell's going on?"
Standing ovation. You don't stop the show.
I'll just turn around and say, I'm sorry, guys, for those that are watching this after we've gone live, and they're thinking, how long does this thing go on for? It can't surely be that long.
It's like that one 3-hour crib show, like in the middle of a raid. We had like a bunch of viewers, and the show was 3 hours long, and we had no idea why anybody was watching, but they were. Good
Yeah,
times.
that was
Well,
good time.
personally, I think they need to go longer than what they do on the TFC. We always have a lot of good things to talk about. Now, if it's going to die, it's going to die. But we've got good things to talk about. Just let it run.
I like suspense, so I like keeping people just waiting, so it's good. Makes them come back to the page.
Yeah.
What you do is you just like someone has an expository point, and you just cut them off mid-sentence.
I'll tell you here's the real
show
reason why the
ends
TFC,
mid-sentence.
right? The real reason the TFC doesn't go on, because most of us from the UK, okay, and it starts, obviously the Tuesday night show starts obviously at 11 p.m. for us, and this one starts at 10 p.m., and it's quarter to midnight here now, sort of stuff. So,
Mark, many times you've been on until 2 and 3 o'clock your time.
I'm not talking about me, mate. I'm not talking about me. I'm a night owl.
It's usually me that keeps BP cribs open because I'm UK and I've.
You get up early.
I'm still in UK, but I don't sleep. I can't sleep.
We could never have told you were from the UK.
Yeah.
Those UK people that need sleep,
away.
they're not here now.
You sleep
Yeah,
when
they've already
you're dead,
gone.
that's what I say.
Yeah.
So
So-
I did want to bring up something for the tournament idea.
Yeah, go on.
Instead of just being a fleet versus fleet sandbox the way we've got right now, what if they did, gave you 2 slots, one to design a fleet and the other to design a base,
Mm-hmm.
and then you got like people can you can choose whether you want to attack in a particular battle or defend. If you're defending, it loads the base you've set up. If you're attacking, it loads your fleet.
I'm thinking they could have a couple of good, like some poor quality bases, and then raising to some good quality bases at the end, just like 5 or 7 ones or whatever. And you pick a fleet, right? And you can only use, like, you can't even repair between battles, which would be a little awkward, I guess, or maybe your damage is repaired, but they still count it. And the reason they count it is you try to do these 5 hits with one fleet with like the smallest damage possible or in the quickest time possible, and you try to adjust your fleet, and try to get a better and better time. So it's speed running or it's a low damage run.
It kind of reminds me of the margin of victory system that the X-Wing tournaments use.
Just tell me this is a game based on Star Wars fighting.
Yeah, Star Wars miniatures.
Yeah.
So, based on this tournament,
they run tournaments in the game, but they have.
Are you guys watching chat? Because he's actually bringing up info about it.
What they have for the margin of victory system is they give you points based on how much damage your fleet has taken in the game. So if you manage to kill all of the enemy ships without taking any damage, you get 100 points. If you lose half your fleet but kill the enemy ships, you get 50 points and stuff like that there.
That's take bonus. George, please tell us this information. I don't have chat open.
Well, he kind of said something about coin doesn't matter when you only gain points by hitting a higher level than you. So we're definitely talking about bases, and I have to disagree with that because you repair and you just keep on hitting. Like there was that one arena where you could just keep on going and get like 1 point at a time. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, well, if you're a level 130, the only bases 131 and higher will give you tourney points. And that's really bad. Like Mark said,
it's
like Mark said,
it is bad
if you got a level 50 that's got all the toys, they can just hit anybody and they're gonna win. I mean,
it should be like it used to be, like 5 levels above and 5 levels below in that tournament.
But the problem is, base level doesn't tell you anything about their PvP capability. Again, they're talking about level 50s with the full fleet of prides. They'll go out and just punch people straight in the mouth.
Well, but here we go again. If you consider it a little further, I'm a level 121. Mark's a level 122. How many guys are out there higher than what we are? We have fewer chances to hit anybody for points as compared to a level 50, a level 60, a level 70, a level 80. Each one has a tier, a multitude of people they can hit more than what we can. I'm not saying it's not going to be fair, but I can't earn as many points as a level 80 does.
No, true.
You can't do it.
But here's, the other thing too is that, if we remember last year with the way that some of the FM targets was spawning, there were a lot of people, and I was one of them. I boosted my level up so I could get 97s to spawn, and they actually said it on the forums to do it. How many people have blown their, like I'm probably up. I think I jumped up like maybe 8 to 10 levels, right?
Yeah.
So the level really isn't indicative of where I actually am in the game.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
Mention that when they upped us levels, 30 odd levels as well, from about level 33 and I went to level 63.
it is a little strange.
A bit later on with VXP that supposedly won't paid out. Go on,
and then we had
sorry,
the Reaver targets that were giving us how many XP every time we went and whacked them. The Scourge targets. Remember that?
Yeah.
I mean, I have a very bad feeling about all of that.
Yeah,
I would
it's
like
all
to
of
see
that's
the
just
arena
not.
become something again, and I would like to see them award VXP.
It's not
that
an
way you're
arena.
not stuck. I know. He said attorney, but I would like to see them refocus some interest into the arena and make VXP available so that we're not stuck only being able to rank boats one weekend a month.
No, that's too much of a moneymaker. I don't see that happening.
Well, arena's not coming back anyway, so not yet,
yeah.
guys.
I think VXP has turned into a very good moneymaker for him. So that's my guess. Because
it has. I don't like the format of the VXP as it is now. I have to say, I think it's gone downhill in my estimation.
It's better than last cycles with the Scourge raid that you couldn't get VXP for hitting.
No, but go back to the one before that.
I mean, basically now you just got to get the fleet and then just coin the fixes, especially on Conquerors.
But one of the talks about when you had that show with Riken and Doom on, they were on about getting rid of VXP altogether and just bringing hulls out like they have now.
Well, they were
not happening.
It was an option. It was an option that they were talking about. I don't think that they had gone. I don't think they had decided, oh, we're getting rid of it. I think they said that they were looking at it, and one of the things that came from that, I think, is the VXP weekend.
Yeah, making too much money. They'll never get rid of it.
Put it this way, though, the hulls that we've got nowadays is not used. There's no use at all unless you've got 5 special slots.
Yeah, no, talking about slots, I just looked on mine. So yet again, my dock ships. So I've got 119 out of 120. So when I look at my fleets, I've got a fleet of cannoneers, I've got a fleet of ironclads, I've got some tides, which is a mixed fleet at the moment. I've got monos. And this isn't bragging, but so I've got monos, I've got Masits, I've got Apollos, I've got Scents. Oh, sorry, I've got Scents, but they're hidden away. I've got Gluttonies. I've still got my Punisher fleet. I've still got Hell Wraiths. My second set of obviously Gluts is there. I've got the Icebreakers. I've got my Pride fleet. And then it goes on to flipping. What are those there? Vendettas.
I call hacks, Mark.
Furies. Don't even mention the Man of War thing. Liberators, that sort of stuff. Okay? But the point is, they're all reasonably good ships, aren't they? They're all reasonably good hulls, that sort of stuff. And sit in the background, there's a fleet of flipping, retributions there, the bloody Man of War things there, and that sort of stuff. What do you get rid of? Because actually, most of this stuff is still relevant in the game. Sloths I haven't got time to even build, but I've got 3 of those, and I've only done 3. I've got 1 hull spare. That's why.
Well, didn't they say something?
I've got about 15 blanks now.
Yeah.
Start scrapping them. Didn't they say that they were talking about? Yeah, didn't they say they were thinking about opening up the number of storage slots?
Well, it's either open the storage slots, or as I asked before, is to have 2 storage slots, and 1 for PvE and 1 for PvP. And then you have 120 each, and then that's it, job done. But I know as soon as they touch the dock, it all goes to Ratchet. It's one of the oldest pieces in the game, and that sort of. It's one of the hardest things for them to code and update. So, but something does need to happen. Storage box is probably the answer.
Well, we'll create something new.
A second storage box, 1 for PvP and 1 for PvE.
Sure.
Or just a big storage. I mean, I know on the show they had said something along the lines of the actual dock size wasn't going to be able to go up because of the way that they store stuff, but the storage could go up. And I mean, that was a couple months ago, wasn't it now?
Yeah, it was about that. It was the last time the guys were on the show themselves, wasn't it? So
I wonder if
working right now.
We should probably ask. We should probably ask and see if that's gone anywhere.
Yeah, we definitely should. I mean, I'm only going to build one of these new holes, and I'm just thinking, hang on a minute, I've got to get something for the next raid format. So I can't even build a bloody hole. So I'm now going to have to recycle something that maybe, I mean, Spite. I used Spite yesterday, So I took my pride in close and that sort of stuff. So it was taking all the flack from obviously the ones in that TLC, and I brought a Spite in a little bit further away, and the missile ships were doing amazing, but taking no damage. So it's about using your toolbox, and I want to use those toolbox. And yeah, it's okay. It's only a level 5 hole, but it still does the freaking job. And I suppose I could use Liberator, But I bought those goddamn holes.
I think the key there is, do you need 5 Spites? So you could free up room, once it served its purpose, you only need a few of them. I agree we need more space.
But I cached it. I mean, it wasn't a year ago. I'm not talking really old stuff. We're not talking any of the Forsaken tech, and we're not talking stuff that, is not, we're not
talking
PvP split, are we? We're talking pretty new stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree. I'm in the same situation you are. 117 out of 120 and 25 out of 25 in storage.
I've already got most rid of my subs. I'm a sub player and that sort of stuff. But all that's left is is 2 sets of subs and my Ghost Crawler. That's all I've got. So I can't really get rid of much more there. I want to keep my Scattergun Tigers because they may come back in handy. Scatterguns are things that catch people out sometimes. So I'm not getting rid of them. And my Hellraiser are already perfect for this TLC at the moment. So I'm certainly not getting rid of them. So
yeah,
I think they need to break the storage down by type. And then just go from there.
Well, 2 storage boxes, with probably 16 each or something like that would help for a while. But then
can't they have a crap hull storage and a really good hull storage?
Well, the thing I'd like is the fact that be honest, guys. If you're going to freaking keep recycling the ships and producing so many ships in a year, you can't help but do something about it.
Them to the great shipyard in the sky.
Yeah, and my coin with it. But anyway.
Well, even as a coiner. I mean, if something comes available that's old and it's only going to have one purpose, I'm not going to coin it. I mean, they've got to give us a little bit more room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, right. We're closing off because it's 2 hours and that's enough.
I did it.
I know George has been clock watching. I know he has.
Clock watching.
I'm trying not to comment on something else that's in chat. That's
I've seen a couple of things in chat, but what's gone by is gone by. It'll all come out in the wash, and people will just forget about it. So, listen, I just want to say thanks to everybody. Okay, and have a good remainder of your bank holiday weekend, that sort of stuff. I hope it goes well for every single person. I didn't mention it on Tuesday, but for those in the UK and those globally, I think the situation that happened over in the UK during this week was an eye-opener for many people, but I think the spirit of the people that it involved and the community around them, I think it was well wrapped by the UK can-do policy and the people power that we've got, and I'm proud of everybody that definitely pulled together in ways and areas that you can't imagine, and we don't want to say too much more than that. But I didn't want to mention on the Tuesday night show because I think it was a bit too raw and that sort of stuff. But I think we can just finish off tonight by saying, God bless everybody, and to those people that's supporting the armed forces and all military services around the world, God bless you. That's all I want to say. And good night.
Yeah.
Anyway,
nice one, Mark.
Okay, take care all, and we'll speak to you on Tuesday.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.